Okay, come on in, come on in. Where did that come from? Very interesting. Come on in the room. I actually had planned to come on, but just got out of prayer somewhere else, so I kind of felt like I was off the hook, you know? But the Father wasn't letting me off the hook, so I got on anyway. Come on in. Where's everybody at tonight? Let's have some conversations. I'm not going to be on long tonight. I will be on tomorrow night for Kinetic Prayer. This is more like Kinetic Conversations, which I should have changed that. So, but we are here. And I'll just give you guys a few moments to get into the room. I didn't make no announcements or nothing, huh? Doesn't always happen like that. Come on in. Come on in. Hey, who's in the room with me? Blessings to you. Come on in. We're going to have a few conversations. It's going to be very brief tonight. Got a big day tomorrow, and then we'll be right back at it for the 5th week of Kinetic Prayer. It's been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing. Thank you for being here with me tonight. Go ahead and like and share. If you're on my YouTube page, definitely like and share. If you are on my Facebook page, you could do the same. Like and share. You know, I don't get on often, but when I do, it's generally important. It is important if I get on, because I promise you I was fighting it. Yeah, I'm that child that's often trying to figure out if we could do something different, okay? So if I get on, it is for sure very important. And I want to share with you guys just a couple of nuggets from what we've been talking about in Kinetic Prayer. Where am I on Facebook? Because I don't see myself on, I don't see myself on Facebook. Let me know where you guys are viewing me from. Are you on my YouTube channel or are you on Facebook? Let me know where you're viewing me from. Blessings to everybody that's on. Blessings to you all. So good to be here with you tonight. Like I said, I'm not going to be very long. I'm just going to be a few moments. Yeah, I'm just going to be a few moments. We've been having an amazing time in the Kinetic Prayer dimension, and this has been a really special time. One of the things that I know is that the Father has caused us to move our position. We're still in the age of the opening, but we're actually in that Gimel, in that 3, 83, 23. That 3 is that Gimel, and that Gimel has so much to do with so many things. It's talking about movement. It's dealing with movement. One of the things that the Holy Spirit began to speak to me earlier today about where we are and what's actually going on in the earth is that the movement is coming from us and coming to us, if that makes sense. The movement is coming from us and it's also coming to us. So there are things that have been prophesied. There are conversations that have been had over these last 7 to 10 years. And I was talking about this the other day, that we're moving in 10-year increments. And so one of the things that has been vitally important for us to understand is that in each decade, there is significant activities that take place. And when those activities begin to take place in the earth, that's a heads up for us to understand what's really going on, in the realm of the spirit, because nothing happens in the earth unless it first begins in the spirit. So we noticed a whole lot of different things at the turn of the decade. And so because of those things that we noticed the grief that began that season, and then it went from grief to fear. But one of the things that the adversary is really adamant about in this season is making sure that the sons never step into true identity. Well, I'm going to tell you something. This is the hour. We are in that season. And as a matter of fact, just last year, there was a push. There was a thrust that began towards the end of the year to about January, February, no, maybe about March or April of this year. There was a thrust that began to happen last year to like the middle part of the beginning of the year. So maybe like March, April. And that thrust was to begin to shift us. It was a beginning of us being changed. In that beginning of us being changed, there was a lot of uncertainty. And I'm going to tell you, the uncertainty is amazing. The uncertainty is good. Let me tell you why the uncertainty is good. Because when the Father begins to do a new thing, yes, he will have conversations about us. All of those things are a fact. He definitely reveals his secrets to serving sons. However, once that thing begins to happen, because we've never been that way before, because it's a thing that we've never done before, and possibly even some things that we've never seen before. I know in this season, he's talking to me still about things I've never seen. I've never seen these things done before, and I'm seeking to understand. I'm seeking to identify the people and the places that this thing is to come into manifestation. But you know how all of that happens is in prayer. And so we don't have to necessarily worry about how these things are supposed to come into place, but we're going to need to be in the right posture and in the right position. Daniel, in the book of Daniel, I want to go there just for a hot second. Let me go there on my phone. Daniel, I believe it is chapter 8. I'm going to go there really quickly. I want to show you guys something. And this is a part of the kinetic conversation. I want to show you something really quickly. Daniel chapter 8. I believe it's 8. I'm going to go there and find out. Yeah, maybe so. Let's see. But what the passage that I'm actually after, blessings, prophetess Deborah McNair, I love you so much. One of the things that I want to share with you that has to do with this passage is this. A lot of times people are trying to figure out what's the 1-2 step to get a prayer answered. What is, what is it that I have to do? Why is it that I'm not hearing? I'm not sure if he's speaking to me, all of these different things. The reality is this. This requires the conversation, prayer, which is a conversation. It requires us to be in the right position first. And the position is not just blessings to you, Minister Danetta. The position is not just a religious posture. It's not a religious posture at all. It's a posture of the heart. It's an internal thing. And so what the Father is wanting to cause us to identify with in this season, this is one of the things that he's really been pushing me to help the body identify, is that it's an internal to external situation. It's not an external to internal, because the laws have been written on the table of your heart. So there's nothing that's coming from the outside of you. It's on the inside. Even the Holy Spirit, it's on the inside of you. And it's according to the power that's working in you. It's according to the power that's at work. And we were in prayer tonight, and I said, some people just need to go on and have their power turned back on, because your power's been turned off. You know what I'm saying? So you need to be calling the power company, the divine power company of heaven, to get your power turned back on. Get in the right posture. So what happens with Daniel, he's a perfect example of how to get an answer. I'm going to pull it up real quick. I believe it might be 10. Let me go to chapter 10. But what it states is that Daniel, blessings, brother. That's my brother, Apostle Clarence Squires. What it states is that the angel of the Lord comes to Daniel, and he's having a conversation. He's broken through the prince of Persia at this point, but it's something very specific that he says to Daniel. He says, at the first day that you set yourself in your heart to understand. This gives us to know that there's a position, there's a posture that is necessary in order for answers to come. And that first posture is understanding, right? So it's setting ourselves in the position to understand. That's what my heart is. That's what I'm after. I'm after understanding. And when you sit yourself in that position, your heart in that position of understanding, he said, when you first did that, he said, and then you disciplined yourself. Then you brought yourself into a position of humbling. You know, that's fasting. That's fasting and prayer, right? It's communication, but it's a communication that is after my heart is positioned to understand, and then I'm pulling myself into a place of discipline. My brother knows this. I've communicated this for some years now. Once we learn how to afflict ourselves, then we're not really pressed by the afflictions of darkness. You know, once you put yourself in a place of affliction, then things are very, very light to you. You know, it's a light thing for the adversary to try to come for you because you already know how to humble yourself. You know how to afflict yourself. But I'm telling you, if you've never learned how to afflict yourself, if you never brought yourself into a place of affliction and a place of humbling, a place where you are disciplining your flesh, then when the adversary comes for you, it's going to be a real tough time. It's going to be a real tough time. But this is one of the things that I wanted to share as well. You know, the master did this well in addition to Daniel. And he's in a place of fasting for 40 days. For 40 days, he's fasting. And the adversary wasn't tempting him the 40 days. No, he wasn't tempting him with food. You know why he wasn't tempting him with the food thing? Because he already knows how to discipline himself in that area. So what he tried to come for him with was identity, right? And this is the same master whom people were like, oh, that's just Joseph's son. Ain't that Mary and them's boy? You know what I'm saying? So all of this marginalizing could have put him in a position to want to prove himself even to himself. Okay. But the adversary didn't come for him in the way of fasting because he had a discipline in that area. He didn't come for him tempting him with, while he was fasting, he wasn't being tempted. But he also knew that in order for him to walk through this process, because the Holy Spirit brought him into this place. And when the Holy Spirit begins to lead you into a place, you must understand the necessity to bring discipline into order. You have to bring discipline. That discipline is the order of that moment, because you really don't know all that you're going to need to do and the space that you're going to be in. You don't know all of that. So you got to bring yourself into that place of discipline so that whatever comes next, you're already prepared for it. So when the master is challenged after the 40 days, and that's when the adversary comes, he comes in that void. He comes in that space between you leaving one space to get to the next space. That's where he comes in at. So if you are already in a space where you begin to discipline your flesh, then you're not in a deficit when you're going from this place to that place. You'll know how to build yourself up on your most holy faith. So you'll have an answer. The master had an answer. When the adversary came for him, he had an answer. Not only did he have an answer every time that adversary spoke to him to try to make him prove himself, right? I was talking about the if-then theory. That if-then theory is real, okay? It's used for a lot of things, and I'm not going to get into all the details of that tonight, but I do want to say this. The adversary used that theory with the master to test his identity of himself. If this is who you are, then do this. And sometimes we're not looking at the enemies outside of us. Sometimes we're looking at the enemy that's on the inside, that comes from all the conversations, right? I'm going to share 3 major enemies with you before I get offline. And that's really what I came on here to do. And the Father just kind of took me in another direction, but I'm circling back, as my brother would say. We're going to circle back, right? I'm circling back to that place. But I want to share these 3 enemies with you tonight because I think it's going to bless you. And I'm not going to be on long. I really was trying to get out of being on tonight, but somehow I couldn't evade this time. I couldn't get out of it. Okay. But I'm going to share these 3 enemies with you. And then I'm going to tell you briefly some points about kinetic prayer because we need to have these conversations, right? But I want to share these enemies with you because, hey, sister, it's my sister, Pastor Holiday. I want to share these enemies with you because I believe this is what we're looking at right now is so different. Okay. I posted something earlier today, and it's really a real space for me. It's really, I can imagine how elders are looking at the world that we're living in right now because I'm not actually in the elder category yet, right? But I've lived long enough to see some things. I've lived long enough to see some things change, right? And so this time that we're in is really a special time. I'm telling you, the shifts that are happening, the changes that are happening, they're so dynamic and they're so different, right? But we're looking at, I was saying in the post that I posted today on my Facebook page, we've gone from, I'm going to pull it up real quick. I'm just going to pull it up and say it to you because this is just amazing to me. Just sitting here thinking about it. I want to say it exactly like I saw it. I want to say it exactly like he showed it to me. This time that we're in is absolutely amazing. And we're going to definitely do another prophetic forecast here coming up. I promise you. I just really want to pull it all together. And I'm really restraining myself tonight because there's some things I want to say, but I don't believe that I'm going to say it tonight. Unless the Holy Spirit allows it, I won't. But I want to say this. I said, as if it's not a light thing for mankind to deal with human destiny thieves, because the Father was still talking to me about that the other day. These destiny thieves, the destiny destroyers, and the traffickers, the destiny traffickers. You know, people trying. This human trafficking is not just natural; it is a spiritual thing. There are people that are assigned to traffic the sons of YAH, to traffic the people of God in some directions. They're trying to traffic them away from the kingdom. And the word says this, they're not entering into the kingdom, right? But they're preventing others from entering in as well, right? So I said, you know, it's not a light thing for mankind to deal with human destiny thieves, destroyers, and traffickers. That also includes tracers, trackers, and ear hustlers. Now at large, man must deal with adversaries who desire to, by subtlety, and by digital thievery, and we'll have some conversations about this, and by digital thievery and otherwise steal trademark and copyrights of human persons, of your human person, by altering physical forms of which they will lay claim to to versions of you that they'll use that they'll use you to create. I mean, that's wild. I mean, that's just wild to me. I'm sitting here and I'm watching the age that we're in, and it's so reminiscent of the day of Noah. And the word says that as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be when the Son of Man appears. What was happening in the days of Noah? Well, in the days of Noah, all flesh had been contaminated. What does this mean? This contamination was coming from the watchers. And what were the watchers doing? The same thing that they're doing now, which is giving men insight into mysteries and into things that are causing the earth to be under duress, causing the earth to be in danger, causing mankind and creation to be in danger or in peril. Okay. And this is the same thing that was going on in Noah's day. The only thing, what was going on with Noah was that he had not been contaminated with the age. He had not been contaminated with the spirit of age, nor with the things that were happening in that age. They were splicing plants. They were doing the gene thing, the DNA stuff, all the stuff that's happening right now. This is not new stuff. This is not new stuff. This is the same stuff that the watchers have always been on. You know why? Because the adversaries of the sons of God, the adversaries of God, have always been interested in their own seed. And why? Because they feel like if they have their own seed, then they can contend. Now they know that they're not going to win a battle. I don't think that they believe that they're going to win. What I believe is that they understand that their time is short. And so what they need is seed so that they can herd men into a place, you know, so that they can bring more to their side. I believe is what they're interested in. They know their time is short. So they want to bring more to their side. They know if I'm going down, you know, I'm going to take some with me. That's his mindset. That's the adversary's mindset. That's the mindset of darkness. If I'm going down, and I am, right? That's what he's saying. I'm going down, and I'm going to take as many with me as I possibly can. So that's what the focus is. You understand what I'm saying? But I want to share these enemies with you because we've been talking about this in kinetic prayer, and it's been amazing the things that the Father's been sharing with us. And I'm kind of moving a little fast because, like I told you, I didn't think I was going to be on that long, and I'm doing my best not to be on that long. But I want to say this: 3 adversaries that you're going to face in this season. One of the things that I was bringing up was the fact that no longer, when I brought up this thing that I was just sharing with you, it's not just that we're dealing with the spirits of the age anymore. We're actually dealing with the adversaries themselves, because you got to understand, they've been kicked out of all levels of the heavens. Okay. So as you saw it in the book of Job, it's not like that no more. After the master was resurrected, then there was what is the word I want to use here? There was eviction notices served in the heavens. Okay. And so there kept being eviction notices until now the adversary has come to the earth. You know, the scripture talks about woe to the inhabitants of the earth, right? Because Satan has come down. And it's actually so fascinating that we're actually looking at things. We're not just dealing with the spirits of things. And believe me, we're dealing with a lot of spirits. We talked about the NPC craze that's going on, the TikTok trends that are happening, and how demonic activity, this demonization of people, is so prevalent now. Yeah, it's always been a thing, but right now you can be standing next to somebody that's demonized and not even know it. If you don't know what to look for, if you don't know what that looks like, because we only think that it looks like somebody slithering on the ground. We've only, from a church perspective, and understand, demonization doesn't just happen in the church, it's happening everywhere. Okay. And your gift, your administrative gift, is not just for the church, it's for everywhere you go. So what I'm telling you is, we're looking at demonic agencies and demonic entities that you could literally be standing in the store and be standing next to somebody that's demonized. But if you don't know what to do, then you'll panic. I'm telling you, you got to get in a position where you understand what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to move. What does this look like when I'm challenged in this area, when I'm faced with a demonized person? What is my move? What am I supposed to do with that, right? And you've got to be prepared for that, because it's happening everywhere. I'm talking about the TikTok craze, that NPC trend. It's absolutely outrageous that people are being non-player characters. You know, those non-player characters that are in the video game. If you never played a video game, you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But in every video game, there are these players that you're not playing. That's the non-player character. The character that you're playing, you're using your joystick to move. You have control over the character that you're playing. Hey, I see you, Jeff. Blessings to you, Psalmist. That's the player that you have control of. But the non-player characters are those other characters that are in the game that are repetitiously doing something, they're in a cycle, they're in a loop, they're in a system. They're constantly doing something, whether they're eating something or holding something or blurting something out. There's a consistency in their mannerism, in their behavior. Okay. And it's so important that we begin to understand and to identify. Okay, we'll talk about that. I don't know if it's a top 5, but I'll give you some things that you should look for in a demonized person. Matter of fact, I'm telling you that now. One of the things that you're going to look for is patterns. Patterns, okay? Because when you're looking at a non-player character, then they're constantly doing something repetitiously. They're repetitiously doing a thing, right? And if you go, I didn't pull that up tonight because I didn't plan to really be on long. But if you go and look up NPC TikTok trend, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. They're actually being given tokens and these kind of things that are turned into money. And people are making like $7,000+ a day just to be on a live and to behave like a character. Okay. They're giving them like ice cream and it's like, ice cream, so they're repeating things over and over again. And it's a repetition. Okay. But you're going to see patterns when you're dealing with somebody that's demonized. There is a consistent pattern there. And I'm not talking about consistency as we talk about being in a space of discipline and having a consistency in our walk with the Father, having a consistency in prayer. No, there is a repetition. It's an unnatural, there we go. That's even better. There's an unnatural repetition of things. There's an unnatural cycle. There's an unnatural pattern, okay, that you're going to be looking at. So even when you're in the store, and one of the things that's so very important, I'm going to say this, one of the things that's so very important that you need to practice is watching videos without sound. Now, why am I telling you to do that? This is a key for you. Begin to watch videos without sound. I want you to start, yes, I want you to start with those NPC videos that I'm telling you about, the TikTok trend, NPC videos. Start watching those videos without sound, because you're going to notice the pattern, right? You're going to see that this is not human-like. It's not natural. It's not human-like. It takes the personality of something else. That's the other thing. It's a personality shift. It's a shift from a human personality to something else. Okay. And so it's unnatural repetition. It's a pattern, a consistent pattern. It's repetition in the pattern, but it also is not human-like. Okay. It takes on some other form. So you got people online talking about their AI and all of this different kind of stuff. You would not believe the amount of people that are around you every day that are demonized. And why am I not saying possessed? Because devils cannot possess people, but people can possess demons. Now, I know that just threw a lot of religious people off. Devils can't possess people, but people can possess demons. I'm going to tell you why I said that. Because in order for an adversary to enter into a person, there has to be an opening. They have to be given permission to come in. They cannot just come in. Some kind of agreement has to be made. So like for children, it's different, because adults are supposed to cover children. Adults are supposed to protect children. That's a different situation. But I'm talking about adults that are in their right, that have the faculties. Okay. If you have your faculties, there's no way for a demon to enter you unless you give it access. That means they have to go through a process, right? So maybe you are, what's the word I want to use for here? Maybe there's iniquity, right, in the family. I'm just going to give you a quick example. Maybe there's iniquity in the family. And usually you can identify iniquity because that's the thing that's familial. Iniquity deals with something that is passed down, that, we all do this. Like if everybody's addicted, has addictions, or everybody's an alcoholic, or, just different things like that. So alcoholism might be a thing, different kinds of addiction. And so because the adversary understands the family bent, he presents that. And if you are open to that and you don't understand that something's going to come knocking at your door, you open the door, then iniquity gets in and iniquity sets up. So when you are, as you're growing, then you begin to identify if you're coming into relationship with the Father, then it's going to be identified to you that there's an iniquity there, right? Well, when the iniquity is identified, right, if you don't fix it, then you're going to just be in sin. You understand what I'm saying? It's going to set up shop. It's going to become a stronghold, right? And the longer you go with that thing, the more reinforced it is, right? The longer you go, the stronger it becomes, the more confident that demon becomes to be there, the more comfortable it becomes to be there. So this is why we have to keep our houses clean. And how we keep our houses clean is through prayer. I'm going to get to the kinetic prayer piece, but let me give you these adversaries. Jeff, I hope that gave you an identification on how to answer, if I answered your question well. Here go these three adversaries. Let's talk about them for a second. We've been talking about the monsters of your mantle, okay? There is a such thing as a monster that is attracted to your mantle, and everybody has a mantle, okay? I'm not from the school of thought where there's a hierarchy here. Now, are there leadership? And when I say hierarchy, I mean, let me clarify that, because I don't want you to think that I'm saying something that I'm not saying. Let me say this. I don't want you to think that I'm coming from the place that not all of us are called, okay? As a son, you've been called to something. There's purpose on the inside of you. The only reason you're a person is because you had a purpose. You're an answer to Earth's problems. And so you have to grow into the call. You have to grow into the anointing or the mantle that you've been given. So the mantles are these: apostle, prophet, pastor, teacher, evangelist, right? You say, well, I'm not either any of those. Well, Anybody that's been called has one of those. And so what's happened is, because we've been so churchatized, or so everything has become such a religious ritual, then we don't even understand the function of those gifts anymore. We don't understand the function of those mantles. So we think they're for church, and they're absolutely not for church. They're for life. They're for administration in life. So one of the things that's important to understand is that the mantles are for, or are how you are going to administrate your earth operations. Whatever the Father has purposed you for, he's given you a mantle that's an administrative piece for you to operate in the earth, if that makes sense. Now, you might not be on the front line in this season. You might be a prophet in training. You might be an apostle in training. You might be an evangelist in training. That's a real thing. However, it doesn't stop the fact that all of us have been given mantles, okay? So here's the thing. The monsters of your mantle is the first adversary that you'll have to face, okay? You're going to face the monster of your mantle, and that monster comes to upset your operation, how you're supposed to function, how you're supposed to flow in the earth. That monster comes to upset the operation of you, okay? Then you got a number two. That's the giants. The giants are enemies to destiny. So the first one is an enemy to your operation, how you're supposed to operate, how you're supposed to function. The second enemy, which is the giants, are enemies of your destiny. So they actually are those fallen ones, the sons of the fallen, who squat on your God-given territory. Whatever the Father has assigned to you as territory, whatever your promised places are, your promised spaces are, your promised assignments are, whatever those things are, these giants are enemies against the destiny. They're enemies against the God-given territory. Whatever it is you're supposed to be accessing, then the giants are squatting. Now, I'm telling you, there's nothing wrong with them squatting there. Let me tell you why. Because if they don't squat, then we don't rise. You understand what I'm saying? So he'll allow them to squat so that you rise. And everything around you, all of the enemies that you're going to be facing, are to help form and to shape you. So you don't have to be afraid of these adversaries. You don't have to be afraid of them. They're there to form and shape you. And if you are in that space of prayer as you need to be, if you're in that position or in that posture where your heart is in position to understand what it is that you need to understand, and then you're disciplining, bringing yourself into that place of humility, disciplining your flesh, and fasting is a big part of that, then you're understanding that there are great and effectual doors before you all the time, but with many adversaries. And the adversary that's at the door is not as big a problem as the adversary that's in against you from here. You understand what I'm saying? That's where that demonization thing comes from. And people are always trying to toss this thing around about, well, I don't think born again believers can have a demon or a devil. Well, he's no respecter of persons. The adversary is no, and what more would he want but somebody, right? What more would he want? And how the subtlety of these adversaries in this season are amazing. But we're used to people crawling on the floor and acting like snakes. We're used to people manifesting a certain way. And so because of the glorification, the Christian Hollywood demons that we've had to deal with or that we've seen, we don't really understand the culture of the demonic. So we don't understand how to see what we're needing to see. We're looking at everything by our natural eyes and not with spiritual eyes. When you go into a space and you feel uneasy about something, that's those spiritual senses at work. But we're not really training our senses spiritually. We're used to just dealing with natural senses, right? And so in this hour, we've got to really hone in on the spiritual senses, because if you're not honed in spiritually, if your senses spiritually are not trained, then you're going to be in some spaces that you don't want to be in. You're going to be confused. You're going to be accosted. You're going to be dealing with some stuff and not know how to respond to it. You understand what I'm saying? But if you go into a space and you have positioned your heart to understand some things and you live a life of discipline, and I'm not talking about you just do these things just to go somewhere. No, this is a way of life, and if that's the space that you live in, then when you go into spaces, there'll be manifestation. There'll be things that arise for you to have to deal with them. You'll bring the fight to the enemy. You won't just be sitting for the fight to come to you. And that's a big thing too. a lot of people think that spiritual warfare is just your response to what happens to you. No, spiritual warfare is about understanding the time that you're living in. And if you need to, rolling up your sleeves, taking off your glasses, taking your earrings out, and taking the fight to your adversary. Okay? And that's what happens in prayer. That's what happens in prayer. When you realize what the adversary is on and you begin to take the fight to the camp, you're not waiting for him to show up. No, you bringing it to him. Like, no, this is what it is. And I'm telling you, that's not what it's going to be. This is my assignment. And so you step into that realm under the assignment of the Holy Ghost to separate and to scatter. You understand what I'm saying? So, okay, let's go back. Let's go back. The giants are against your destiny. Okay, but there's a third one. There's a third one. The ites. You guys remember the ites? Okay, all of those ites. And I'm not going to clown tonight. I know my brother and Pastor Holiday are on, and we had some stuff the other night. Somebody talked about some ites, and that was some funny stuff. But these ites, the ites are enemies of your inheritance. And the ites are actually familial. You understand what I'm saying? The ites are actually familial. That's not the giants. It's not the fallen ones. This is actually familial. Okay, it's related to you. All right. And so you remember what I was telling you, that one of the greatest enemies you'll have to overcome in this season is what's fighting you internally, based on how people have identified with you, how they have either minimized you or whatever the things are that people have done in the seasons prior, because they didn't want to come to terms with who they were dealing with. They didn't want to come to terms, so they had to marginalize or minimize you in order to feel important, right? So some people just used you. They didn't necessarily, they minimized you outwardly, but they were using you, you know, in the background, because it's something on you. It's something in you. So those are those three enemies or adversaries that you're going to have to face, and you're going to have to acknowledge and identify with these things so that you can overcome. You've already been given the authority to overcome them. But the thing about it is, you got to know what you're fighting. You know, long gone are the days of just coming into a space and going into some tirade in quote unquote prayer and not even knowing what you're fighting. That doesn't make sense. And it was winked at in another season, but I believe that if you're not careful in this season, that might get you hurt. You understand what I'm saying? So we're going to need to understand what we're dealing with, and then understand our weapons, you know, because every weapon is not for everything. Father was talking to me about that this morning. He was talking to me about the saints not understanding weapons. You've got to understand the weapons of your warfare. They are not carnal at all, but there are many weapons. It's not just one. It's not the blood. You can't just throw the blood at everything. You cannot. And I know you would love to, but there are other weapons. Okay. And so you got to identify what your weaponry looks like. And just like they do in military, you've got to discipline yourself to begin to identify these weapons and learn how to use them. You know, when you're in the military, they make you take that gun apart, clean it, put it back together. How fast can you do it? You know what I'm saying? How many rounds go in this and how many rounds go in that? How do I use this grenade? You know, you got to know how to utilize the weapons in this season. I didn't come to stay here long. I appreciate the time that you guys have given me. Like I said, I was really trying to get out of it, but I pray that I said something tonight that helped you to understand where we are. Before I go, I might share this. If you missed, or if you are not aware of the YouTube channel, I need you to go to the YouTube channel. It's Rock Mogul Ministries. Go to the YouTube channel. I'll put it in. If you're on Facebook, I will put it in the description. But I need you to go there and subscribe, and I need you to like as many videos as you can. But I talked about one of the other adversaries in this season, and I believe this hits home for a lot of you. He was talking to me the other day about the adversary of inactivity. And I talked about that on my last video. You should go check that out. But inactivity, idleness, lackadaisicalness, immobility. When we talk about all these things, I'm not just talking about the busy work that people like to do, because it's a lot of busy work going on. People are doing busy work. Busy work is a thing, you know, busy work and your job. That's a thing. So when I say inactivity, I'm dealing with what the Father is demanding from us in this season, right? What is it that he wants from the sons in this season? Are we positioning ourselves as he desires? Because that's the thing that he's after. He's made so many deposits. Yes, sir. Okay, brother, call me. I love you, brother of me. Listen, he's made so many deposits, and this is the hour that he's coming to make withdrawals. And if he comes to make withdrawals, he wants something to be there. He wants something to be in operation. You know, we were talking about this story the other day, and it's a familiar story to you. I'll share just briefly the story about the talents. The thing is, he gave it, and then he walked away. His expectation was that what was given would be taken and made something of, right? I've been guilty of this in the last season of my life, whereas in many other seasons, it was a very thriving, a very flourishing thing. But we have had to identify some of the enemies that we've been challenged with in these seasons so that we can now arise and shine because your light has come. You understand? And the doings of God have risen upon you. In other words, he's put something on you. This glory, this doing of God is on you. And now you can no longer be obscure. Whether it's writing, whether it's music, whatever it is, whether it's art, whether it's fashion, whatever the thing is that he's given, he's now expecting us to no longer be obscure, to no longer be hidden. Can I tell you something? You can no longer water yourself down for the crowd that you've been in. If you have to continue to water yourself down, that means you may need to exit stage right. You may need to exit stage right in this season because your circle is creating your cycle. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? Your circle is the thing that's been creating your cycle. Okay? And so if your circle is creating cycles of you not finishing or whatever those things are, you got to identify what circle you're in, because the Father is going to come and he's going to expect something when he comes. And I'm not talking about the end of all things. I need you to understand what I'm saying. I'm not talking about the end of all things. What I'm talking about is when he shows up to make a withdrawal, okay? He's going to want something to have been multiplied. He's given so many things. He's given so many things. I'm trying to turn this loose. He's given so many things, and he's desiring to see the multiplication. Blessings to you, Patrick. He's desiring to see the multiplication. He wants to see multiplication from what he's given. And we've got to come to terms. We can't just sit and not understand what we're dealing with. We've got to identify the things that we're dealing with. And once we identify the enemy that we're dealing with, now we have to address it. We have to address it because we've got to show up with more than what he gave us. He's expecting multiplication. It's the very first command that he ever gave. Be fruitful and multiply. He's not just talking about physical connection between the man and the woman. He's saying, I've given a mandate to the life of every man, and that's fruitfulness. We've got to be fruitful in this season. And I'm not talking about just doing church stuff. I'm not just talking about, okay, well, let's just throw this together. Let's just have a conference. Let's just do this over here. No, what is it that he's asking for? What is it that he's desiring? Because he knows what the earth needs. He knows what the earth needs. All he needs is your voice, your hands, and your feet to walk out what he's already declared. When he brought the animals to Adam, he had already named the animals. He wasn't asking Adam to name them. He was training him. He was giving him prophetic training. He said, what are the names of these? And he said, you're right. Okay, absolutely. He's checking him. He's letting him process through who he really is. And the amazing thing about what the Father did in the beginning when he declared us to be those that would be in his likeness and image. Everything reproduces after its own kind, right? His likeness and his image, okay? His icon. We're icons of his. He should be able to open us up and get full access to us as an app, right? Full access, okay? And he says, listen, I've made you in my likeness and image, and I've given you authority in the earth. We are assigned to this earth. I don't know why y'all trying to get off the rock. He said the earth is going to be given to the sons of men. You know what I'm saying? We inherit the earth. We're not inheriting something else. Now, are there other people in other places right now? Absolutely. But his desire is that we inherit the earth. As a matter of fact, in Revelation chapter 22, the new heaven, New Jerusalem comes down to the new earth, and the Father makes his abode with mankind. Listen, it's some things we're supposed to be doing in this season. That occupation keeps coming up, right? And that's what's tied to this inactivity, because what he's after is the occupation, your sonship occupation. What does that look like? What is he calling you to? Who are you? And what is your purpose? Because if you are doing a whole bunch of other stuff, it may be okay to be on the usher board. It may be okay, to be the armor bearer. It may be okay to be on the praise team, all of those things. But he's declaring you inactive if you're not doing what he's called you to do. Those are just things that you're gifted to do, things that you are able to do. But he's not just looking at the gift and the able, he's looking at the availability as a son. What are you available for? What is it that I am speaking in the earth that I'm needing you to be available to carry out for me? What is it that I need you to carry out? Can we ask that? Father, what is it that you need me to carry out? Because what's been happening is, even with these jobs, your job is not, it's not it. So you can say, well, Paul said, a man don't work, don't eat. He ain't talking about your job, because your job is that space that you are getting comfortable in, and you no longer are really expressing your creativity anymore, because you're dependent upon the check that's going to be given every 2 weeks or every week. That's your dependency is there. And the Father's saying, no, this is the hour that I'm looking for my sons to begin to express me in the earth. There's a level of creativity that we can't have sitting at somebody's desk, answering somebody's phone. You understand what I'm saying? There's a level of creativity. So we must begin to step out in faith. We must begin to wean ourselves of these systems so that we can become the system in the earth that the Father's desiring us to be. We must wean ourselves from the systems of this earth, of this world, so that we can become the system, the divine systems of heaven that we've been called to be. Listen, the adversaries of the earth, their sons are doing their bidding. They're doing their bidding, okay? They are doing it well. Now it's time for the sons of YAH to rise, because the platform of darkness has been established. All that's missing is the light. All that's missing is the light, okay? It's not going to happen in your four walls. It's not going to happen there. You're going to need to step out, and you're going to need to find out what it is that the Father desires you to do so that it can be accomplished. Because that's the inactivity that he's talking about. The inactivity that he's talking about right now is the fact that you're not doing what I told you to do. Yeah, you got a lot going on. But you remember what he told the children of Israel? He said, yeah, you got a lot going on. He said, so you know what? Those are y'all feasts. Now understand, the feasts were his. He established them. But it got to a point where he was like, I don't want nothing y'all got. I don't want nothing y'all got going on. All that stuff y'all got going on, y'all can keep that. I don't want it. And that's not where we want the Father to be in this season. We don't want him to be in that space where he doesn't want what we're offering. And can I tell you something? You can't give him something that's not first of him. It's not for him unless it's first of him. Okay, you can't just make it up. It has to be something. That's what I love about him. He's not waiting on us to give him something that he hasn't already given us. He's given it. Anything that he wants from us, he's already given it to us. Best believe that. He's not waiting on you to try to figure it out. He's given the resource. He's the source of it, so you can become the resource of it. You understand what I'm saying? So he's already given it. Yeah, your job is definitely not your source. It is not. It is not. And it's not a permanent placement for sons. It's not a permanent placement for sons. It's a graduation. It's a process, but it's not a permanent placement. I love y'all. I'm about to get off of here. I didn't even plan to do all that I did. I really just wanted to say a couple of words. But I'm encouraging you guys, if you are aware of what I've been putting up, Kinetic Prayer is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 a.m. in the morning. We've been having an amazing time. We're up at the witching hours, okay? That's what it is. It's the witching hours. When darkness is doing their deeds, when darkness is doing its bidding, when it's laying the foundation, we're up. dismantling it. You understand what I'm saying? And we're going to need to have some conversations in this season and some strategy sessions in this season, because there's some things and some positions that the Father's looking for the sons to come into. And I don't know. I'm still trying to identify where the space is and where that place is and who the people are, because I've not seen what he's showing me. I've not seen it yet. I have not seen it yet, but I need to see it. And I need to be connected to the people that we can create what is being seen. You know, that ark was not created just because people started throwing stuff together. The Father actually gave a blueprint for that. He's given us blueprints in this season, and we've got to connect properly with the right people in order to see the blueprint come into fruition. We've got to do it because the earth is waiting on the divine blueprints that the Father has given the sons to come into being, to come into fruition. It's got to happen. The earth is longing for it. The people are longing for it. We're longing for it. Okay. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you being here this evening. I will be on tomorrow night, and I don't know if I'm going to do a YouTube, or I haven't been doing any Facebook. But if you want to connect to Kinetic Prayer, then let me know. You have to send me an email at Apostle Crystal Lee. No, I don't think it's Apostle Crystal Lee. It's just Apostle Crystal. Let me pull it up. Let me not figure it out. I don't have to figure it out. I got it here. Yeah, it's Apostle Crystal at Gmail. See that? If you want to be connected to the Kinetic Prayer, then let me know, because it's by invitation only. It's not just an open thing. You have to specifically say, no, I want to be a part in order to be a part of it, because that's just some of what the Father's doing. Some things are not for public consumption. You know, some of the things that we're going over are not for public consumption. Sure, you should be able to take this back into your sphere of influence, into your environments, and begin to share as the Holy Spirit allows you to share. That's good. But everything is not for public consumption. You understand? You understand what I'm saying? Yes, I'll see you tomorrow, brother. I will see you tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I love you guys. Listen, if you would like to connect, as a partner in this season, that's a good thing to do. Partnerships are good in this season. There's a lot of things that need to be done, and they cannot be done without partnerships. Okay. So if you'd like to partner, I thought I had that banner up, but for some strange reason, I don't see it. I don't see the banner, but let me pull it up. Let me see if I can get it up. That's why we need moderators, because don't forget to call me, brother. I'll call you when I get off. I want to find that banner. Yes, I do. How about this? You can just send it. I'll just type it in. I'll type it in, because for some reason I'm not finding that banner. It's $, the number 1, and then Rock Mogul. If you want to partner in the season, that's a good thing to do. I promise you. Uh-oh, that's not right. That ain't right, y'all. Let me fix it. I don't know where that thing came from. There we go. Okay. There it is. Okay, yeah, if you want to partner, you can send it there. We've got some other places for you to send it, but since I don't have everything ready tonight, I'm not going to worry about that. I thought I had it already ready, but I'm looking for your partnership in this season, not just your financial partnership, but those of you who are identifying that the Father's doing something new and you want to be connected in this season so that we can strategize and walk through that space to manifest the new thing that he's doing. Then let's connect. Let's connect. There's some things that the Father is desiring to do through the sons, and it's going to happen in our partnerships. It's not going to just happen. It's not a one-man show. It's not a one-man show. The Father's desiring for the sons to partner and to do the work. And so I'm excited about the partners that I do have. I love you guys. And we've got a lot of work to do. We've got a lot of work to do, but I'm looking forward to the work in the season. And we just want his will to be done. You know, we want his kingdom to come, and we want his will to be done. Yeah. So I'll be back. I believe on Fridays is when I'm going to come on live and just kind of do a refresher, or just drop some nuggets from the things that we did during the week. But otherwise, hit me up at apostlecrystal@gmail.com if you want to be in the room. 3 a.m. in the morning. It's not for the faint of heart. I promise you. We've been doing it for 4 weeks. We're going into the 5th week. We're doing this for 8 weeks, and then we're going to launch from that place in an even bigger way. We're going to launch some new things. We're going to launch some new things from this time. But knowing to pray, knowing how to pray is so important. I know a lot of people think they do know how to pray, but you would be surprised. Even the disciples understood. Listen, teach us to pray. Yeah, it's necessary. Prayer, knowing how to pray is necessary. It really is. Because if you don't know how to pray, then you could just be reinforcing the darkness that's in your life. And that's real talk. That's a whole nother conversation, though. You could just be reinforcing demonic activity in your life. That goes for prayer and fasting, okay? Because Jezebel called to fast, right? So you got to be mindful. There's some things that we got to be mindful of. And one of the things that's one of the biggest thrusts for me in the season as a leader is discipleship. It's a lot of people who have not been discipled. And it's amazing to me that at large, so many people that call themselves believers have never been discipled. It's very scary. It's very scary. But I want to say this. We are doing a Through the Bible in 90 days again. The congregation is doing that. And if you want the list, if you want the sheet that I created for the Through the Bible in 90 days, just email me. Email me at apostlecrystal at gmail.com. Email me there, and I'll send you the sheet. But understand, not only do I have a sheet for you, I can also test you on your knowledge of the thing. I can do that too. I think that's so important. Y'all don't run from the test in this season, because I'm telling you, the test is what causes your elevation. If you don't pass the test, you don't go up. If you don't pass the test, you don't advance. Okay? So don't run from the test. Don't run from the test. We're going to test you. If you're going to connect, you're going to be tested. I need to know what you know. I need to know where you are so I can help build you up. That's what apostles do. We build people. We don't just build buildings. The first building that we build is people. Okay? That's what we build. We build communities. Okay? And so that's what I'm interested in more than anything. I'm interested in building the people. So let's connect in this season. I'm not going to get online and do Through the Bible. I did that in the last season, and that was a lot. Took a lot of time, and I am not able to refrain from teaching while we're reading. So that's not going to work for me, okay? Because I couldn't stop teaching y'all so we could just read it. Every time we got to a space, I had to say something, because that's just what teachers do. They want you to understand, but I'm going to give you the list. I'll give you the sheet, and then you can go through it. Right now, I've already done the first week, and so it's like you have like 9 days to go through the first 5. You know what I'm saying? So you got time to get through it. It's not it's demanding, but it's a little space in it, if that makes sense. Okay. And you can get your test after each section, or after each reading, or after each section, because I have it broken down in sections as well. Okay. So I just want to throw that out there for you guys as well. We're doing that in this season. Discipleship is very important. And if you have not been discipled, it's something that you must do, because it's one of the reasons so many people don't know what to do when they're being challenged, because they've not been discipled. So they don't know a way. They know a natural physical way to do things, but they don't know the way. They don't understand the way. They don't understand the truth. They don't understand the life. So they're living beneath their privileges. So we gotta come into the right space in this season and live the way that we were designed to live. I'm refusing to live beneath my privilege in this season. Yes, the Father calls us to stuff that we don't quite understand. He puts us in positions that we don't always understand, right? But we got to still do the work. Okay? We got to still do the work. And we got to be prepared for when the reward comes. Because while we're doing that work, we got to be prepared. We got to be preparing. That's a part of our preparation for the reward. So I'm telling you right now, some things coming down the pipeline that are going to be absolutely incredible on both sides of the fence, because this is a double-sided coin in this season. Incredible. Okay, what darkness is doing is incredible, but what the sons of YAH are set to do is absolutely incredible. He's taken us from the place of conversation to manifestation. I can promise you that. He's demanding that we go from the place of conversation. The conversation was just for us to declare what we were hearing, to declare what he was saying, and to come into agreement with that. And now we are stepping into the season of manifestation. You know, the first thing that I said to you at the beginning was, we're in this hour where the movement is happening, right? And so that Gimel, that 3 is about movement. Okay, it's about footsteps. And so we're making steps, and then things are coming to us. We're moving to things, and things are moving towards us in this season. And so there's going to be a head-on collision with destiny in this hour, and I'm excited about it. I'm absolutely excited. I love you guys. Let me see who's saying something over here. Who's saying something? Hey, Deanna, I see you, Prophet. Good night, brother. See you in the morning. Absolutely. Absolutely. Live on, sister. I really struggle with some things. Like, I'm not even going to talk on the live. So, y'all, if I don't get on your page when it's your birthday and say happy birthday, just know that I love you and I want you to keep living. I think I say stuff like this next chapter. I decree things to you because I'm getting back to a space. I'm getting back to my space. I kind of came out of my space for a minute where I was kind of blending in. I can't do the blend in thing, y'all. I'm not born to blend. Okay. I'm not born to blend. Somebody put that in the chat real quick before we go, because you got to know this. You're not born to blend. Say, I'm not born to blend. I'm not born to blend in. Just not. Listen, it is what it is. Can y'all type that in the chat before we go? I'm not born to blend. I'm not born for the blend in. Not at all. Not at all. And I don't make any apologies for what he separated me for, because I didn't separate myself. A lot of those things that people still do, I actually did those things in another season, but I'm just not born to blend. I can't do it. I can't do it. I love y'all. Let me get off of here. I appreciate you staying. Y'all acting like y'all wait for me to keep talking, and I'm about to get off of here. I appreciate you. Again, if you want to be on Kinetic Prayer, email me. Go ahead and email me at apostlecrystal@gmail.com. I'll go back to it and put it up for you one more time. Email me, and I will definitely send you the link. Did I have it up already? Oh, it's already up. My bad. It's at the bottom of the screen. Email me. I'll send you the link for where we are. And the link is different every time. So if you think you're going to come once and you're going to just use the same link, it ain't going to happen. I refresh it every time. Because we need to be accountable. It's about accountability. It's about discipline in this season. So that's what we're doing. All right. I love y'all. I'll talk to you soon. Peace to your house. Who's talking to me? Love you more, sister. Love you more. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.